Talmud Bavli Tractate Bava Metzia, page 16a. Top of the page with the words Kol Mazonos Shel Adam Kvutzim Lo Me Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim V'ad Yom Kippurim, etc. A person's entire livelihood is allocated to him during the period from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. During that time, as each individual is judged, it is decreed exactly how much money he will earn for all his expenditures of the coming year, except for expenditures of Shabbatot, of Shabbos, and expenditures of festivals, and expenditures for the school fees of his son's Torah study. In these areas, no exact amount is determined at the beginning of the year. Rather, if he reduces the amount he spends for these purposes, his income is reduced, and he earns that much less money in that year. And if he increases expenditures in these areas, his income is increased to ensure that he can cover the expense. Therefore, one may borrow for these purposes, since he is guaranteed to have enough income to cover whatever he spends for them. Rabbi Bahu said, what is the verse from which this dictum is derived? The source is, blow the shofar at the new moon, at the concealed time for our festival day, Psalms 81:4. Tiku b'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chagenu. On which festival is the new moon concealed? You must say this is Rosh Hashanah, which occurs on the first of the month, when the moon is not yet visible. While the moon is visible during other festivals, which occur in the middle of the month, and it is written in the next verse, for it is a statute, chok, or Yisrael, a judgment for the God of Jacob, Psalms 81:5. The Gemara explains from where it may be inferred that this word, this statute, is a term referring to food, as it is written, and they ate their allotment which Pharaoh gave them. It says, V'achlu es chukam asher nasan lehem paro, Genesis 47:22. Mar Zutra said, one can learn that chok is referring to food from here. Feed me with my allotted bread, hatrifeni lechem chuki. Proverbs 30:8. Tanya, it is taught in Beitzah, they said about Shammai the elder that all his days he would eat in honor of Shabbat. How so? If he found a choice animal, he would say, this is for Shabbat. If he subsequently found another one choicer, then he would set aside the second for Shabbat and eat the first. He would eat the first to leave the better quality animal for Shabbat, which continually rendered his eating an act of honoring Shabbat. However, Hillel the elder had a different trait, that all his actions, including those on a weekday, were for the sake of heaven. As it is stated, blessed be the Lord by day by day. Baruch Hashem Yom Yom. He bears our burden, our God who is our salvation, Selah. Psalm 68:20. meaning that God gives a blessing for each and every day. That is also taught in a Beitzah in more general terms. Beit Shammai say from the first day of the week, Sunday, start preparing already for your Shabbat. And Beit Hillel say, blessed be the Lord day by day. Apropos of the statements about honoring Shabbat, the Gemara cites another statement on the same topic. Rabbi Chama, the son of Rabbi Hanina, said, one who gives a gift to his friend need not inform him that he has given it to him. He need not concern himself that the recipient might not realize who gave it to him. As it is stated, and Moses did not know what the skin of his face. Moses did not know that the skin of his face was radiant. Exodus 34:29. Moses received this gift unawares. The Gemara raises an objection to this. Isn't it written, nevertheless you must keep my Shabbatot, for this is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord who sanctifies you. Exodus 31:13, which the sages expounded as follows. The Holy One, blessed be He, said to Moses, Moses, I have a good gift in my treasury, and its name is Shabbat, and I wish to give it to the Jewish people. Go and inform them of this intention of mine. And from here, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel said, one who gives a gift of a piece of bread to a child must inform his mother of his actions so that the child's parents will be aware of the giver's fond feelings for them, thereby enhancing friendly relations and companionship among Jews. This appears to be in direct contradiction to Rabbi Chama's statement. The Gemara answers, this is not difficult. This case, where one need not inform the recipient, is referring to a gift that is likely to be revealed, such as Moses' shining face, for which everyone would point out to him. In that case, where one must inform the recipient is referring to a gift that is not likely to be revealed in the natural course of events. The Gemara challenges, isn't Shabbat also a gift that is likely to be revealed, as the Jews would eventually be instructed with regard to the time and nature of Shabbat? The Gemara answers, nevertheless, its reward is not likely to be revealed. Therefore God told Moses to inform the Jews of the gift of Shabbat and its reward. The Master said earlier that from here, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel said, one who gives a piece of bread to a child must inform his mother. The Gemara asks, what does he do to him? How does he inform the child's mother? He rubs oil on him and paints his eyes blue, so that when the child arrives home, his mother will ask him, who did this to him? Hey, let's go back here. The Master said earlier from here, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel said, one who gives a piece of bread to a child must inform his mother. The Gemara asks, what does he do to him? How does he inform the child's mother? He rubs oil on him and paints his eye blue, so that when the child arrives home, his mother will ask him, who did this to him? And he will reply, it was a person who also gave him a piece of bread. Why can't you just tell her? The Gemara comments, and nowadays when we are concerned about witchcraft, as the painting of the child's eyes might have been performed as an act of sorcery, what should one do? Rav Papa said he rubs on the child a little of that same type of food that he put on the bread, such as butter or cheese, and this will cause the child's mother to notice that he receives a present. I don't understand why he can't just tell the mother, or tell the father to tell the mother. I don't get that. This is very troubling. Very troubling. Okay. Okay. The Gemara says a further statement with regard to the gift of Shabbat to the Jewish people. Rabbi Yochanan said, in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, all the mitzvot that the Holy One, blessed be He, gave to the Jewish people, He gave to them in public, except for Shabbat, which He gave to them in private. As it is stated, it is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. Exodus 31:17. Meaning that, in a sense, it is a secret between God and the Jewish people. The Gemara challenges if it is so, that it was given in secret so that not everyone knew about it, the Gentiles should not be punished for not wanting to accept it. They are liable to receive punishment for refusing to accept other mitzvot of the Torah. The Gemara answers, the Holy One, blessed be He, did inform them of the concept of Shabbat, but He did not inform them of the reward for the fulfillment of the mitzvah. And if you wish, say, instead, that He also informed the Gentiles of its reward, but about the idea of the additional soul given to each person on Shabbat, He did not inform them of this. He did not inform them. As Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said, the Holy One, blessed be He, gives a person an additional soul on Shabbat Eve, and at the conclusion of Shabbat removes it from him. As it is stated, he ceased from work and was refreshed. Exodus 31:17. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish expounds the verse as follows: since he ceased from work, and now Shabbat is concluded, and his additional soul is removed from him, woe for the additional soul that is lost. Vayi nafash. It was taught in the Mishnah that a person may prepare a cooked dish on a festal eve and rely on it for Shabbat for the joining of cooked foods. Abaye said they taught that the joining of cooked foods allows one to cook on a festival for Shabbat only when it is made from a cooked dish. However, if it is composed of bread alone, no, this is not sufficient. The Gemara asks, what is different about bread that makes it not fit for this purpose? If we say that we require something that accompanies bread, and bread does not accompany itself, the following difficulty arises. Porridge also does not accompany bread. As Rabbi Zera said, those foolish Babylonians eat bread with bread, referring to their custom of eating bread with porridge. This shows that porridge is no better accompaniment to bread than bread itself. And yet, Rabbi Nehumi bar Zechariah said In the name of Abaye, one may establish an eruv with porridge. Rather, one must say as follows: we require something that is not routine, so that it will be clear that one is setting it aside for the purpose of an eruv, and bread is routine, whereas porridge is not routine. Some say a different version of this discussion. Abaye said they taught that a joining of cooked foods allows one to cook on a festival for Shabbat, only when it is made from a cooked dish. However, if it is composed of bread, no, that is not sufficient. The Gemara asks, what is the reason for this? If we say that we require something that is not routine, and bread is routine, the following difficulty arises. Isn't porridge not particularly routine? And yet, Rav Nechumi bar Zechariah said, in the name of Abaye, one may not establish an eruv with porridge. Rather, one should say as follows: we require something that accompanies bread, and bread does not accompany itself, and porridge too does not accompany bread. As Rezer said, those foolish Babylonians eat bread with bread, from which it is clear that, like bread, porridge does not accompany bread, and consequently cannot constitute an eruv. Rabbi Chia taught with regard to lentils that remain at the bottom of a pot on the eve of a festival, one may rely on them for the joining of cooked foods. Although they were not prepared with this purpose in mind, they are nevertheless considered a cooked dish, and this applies only if there is an olive bulk of lentils in total. Similarly, Rav Yitzchak, son of Rav Yehuda, said, with regard to fat of meat and the like that is on a knife, one may scrape it off the knife and rely on it for the joining of cooked foods, and this applies only if there is an olive bulk of fat in total. Rav Asi said that Rav said small salted fish that a Gentile then cooked are not considered the cooked food of Gentiles, because cooking does not prepare them to be food any more than they already were, as they can be eaten in their salted state. Rav Yosef said, and even if a Gentile roasted them, a Jew may rely on them for the joining of cooked foods, as they are not considered the cooked food of a Gentile, and are indeed already edible. However, if the Gentile made them into fish fried with oil and flour, it is prohibited to eat them. In this case, they are considered the cooked food of Gentiles, since his actions have made them into a noteworthy food. The Gemara challenges, it is obvious that this is the case. It need not be taught. The Gemara answers, the justification for teaching it is lest you say that